I'm a big proponent of a low carbohydrate diet, and hey, my faith in that type of eating has been rewarded because there's another story and another study that's out there that shows that white rice and pasta are just as bad for your heart as candy. Interesting. I kind of think I know where this one's going to go. It has something to do with glycemic index, and especially those two things. If they are the most nutrient dense, or rather nutrient devoid, that would be the total opposite, in fact, forms of these two types of product, then it would also spike your blood sugar along the same lines as, yes, regular candy, white bread, all of the worst things that are out there. Imagine that. Okay, this is about the only time you're going to hear this, okay? If you're concerned about your diet and you're looking to get rid of a couple of things, anything that's white, you should probably be taken off your plate. Anyways, eating lots of white rice is just as bad for your heart in the long run as consuming lots of candy, a study suggests. Researchers in the run, yes, exactly, you should be eating rocks. Looked at the risk of heart disease among people whose diets were high in refined grains compared to whole grains. Yeah, exactly. If you're going to be eating rice, everybody's known this for a long time, okay? Brown rice, jasmine rice. If you like the texture of rice, but you'd prefer to have something a little bit more nutritionally dense, and I do mean that this time, try quinoa. If you cook it correctly, it can be fluffy. Otherwise, it can be soupy and a little bit tough to swallow. It kind of has a cream of wheat texture, which is a little bit disgusting. And then pasta, I don't know, man. I've just never been a fan of pasta, but if you're a big Italian that's out there, okay, obviously whole wheat, or you make it yourself instead of just buying it out of a box from a store and who knows how long it's been on a shelf, you could do it that way. Lead study author, Dr. Mohammed, of course it's from Iran, of course it's Dr. Mohammed, Amin Karavgaraske, sorry about that, said the damage done by a diet high in these grains was similar to eating lots of junk food. A diet that includes consuming a high amount of unhealthy and refined grains can be considered similar to consuming a diet high in a lot of unhealthy sugars and oils. Refined grains are broken down rapidly by the body because they have been stripped of fiber, which leads to a post-meal spike in blood sugar levels. Yeah, you just take a look at your basic table of glycemic, or rather high glycemic foods. Your regular culprits that I've already named are already going to be right up there at the top. And then the more colorful or the more natural looking that you're going to find, some of the foods that you might consider to spike your blood sugar levels, well, they're going to be a little bit lower than that. Over time, high blood sugar and damaged blood vessels and the nerves that control the heart can cause plaque to form in the artery walls. Yeah, we know about that. Whole grains such as brown rice, oats, and whole wheat bread contain the entire grain, whereas refined grains that have been milled, meaning that they have been ground into flour or meal. This is done to extend shelf life. There you go. That's also what we talk about when it's all about preservatives and why you shouldn't be eating out of boxes or bags. There's a reason right there, because those need to, by the companies, okay, by the grocery stores, they have to buy stuff in bulk for enough people to come in and consume them so that they can keep their profit margins relatively stable and not have to charge the living buggers out of all of their customers. So if you can buy a crate full of Jello pudding, that's terrific, because that stuff is going to keep past the nuclear holocaust. Whereas fresh vegetables, fresh fruits, those have, if you're lucky, about a week to be sold. Ergo, there's constant turnover, and then the trucking and the refrigerated trucks that are required in order to bring those products on a consistent basis, that drives up costs, and that's why you have so many aisles in the middle of the store. Meanwhile, all of the walls on the outside, that's the stuff that you should be consuming from the grocery store if you're eating a good diet. If you're just all about having a good time, just go ahead and pilfer those middle aisles, but just know that's where all your troubles are going to show up. Where do you think you find all of that rice? Where do you think that you find all of those refined carbohydrates? Imagine that. Many crackers, oh man, that's racism. Puddings and pastas are also made of refined grains. Study looked at 1,168 healthy patients and compared them to 1,369 nice patients with coronary artery disease. Participants answered a food frequency questionnaire to determine how often they ate whole and refined grains. A higher consumption of refined grains was linked to a a higher risk of PCAD, while eating more whole grains saw a reduced risk. Okay, Dr. Goreski said, as more studies demonstrate an increase in refined grain consumptions globally, as well as the impact on overall health, it is important that we find ways to encourage and educate people on the benefits of whole grain consumption. The study will be presented by the American College of Cardiology Middle East 2022, together with the 13th Emirates Cardiac Society Congress in Dubai suite on October 7th through 9th. So I guess it's already been presented. One person dies every 34 seconds. Sorry, what? Nice harsh turn here. In the United States from heart disease. Okay, it was responsible for 1 in 5 deaths in 2020, and the other 4 of those 5 deaths were because of the coof, right? Sure, but 20% of deaths are attributed directly to heart disease, and we don't call a pandemic over that. Okay. Coronary artery disease, CAD, for those of you in the know, is the most common kind of heart disease, affecting 20.1 million U.S. adults, more than 7% aged 20 and over. In 2020, roughly 2 in 10 deaths from CAD occurred in adults who were less than 65 years old. Wow, that's 20%. Jeez. In the UK, 1 person every 8 minutes dies from CAD. That's a sharp drop off. Goes from 34 seconds every half a minute to 1 every 8 minutes. Holy. I guess there are some benefits to boiling and frying all of your food. Causing around 66,000 deaths yearly. It kills twice as many women in the UK as breast cancer, and kills even more women before their 75th birthday. Yes, women most affected by white rice. Weird. Then 2019, American College of Cardiology and American Heart Association's guidelines on the primary prevention of cardiovascular disease says that all adults should focus on eating whole grains as well as vegetables, fruits, nuts, sources of protein, and fish. Sources of protein and fish? Isn't that kind of like covering everything? But I guess to get those healthy fats that are normally associated with fish that only show up in rare exceptions like grass-fed bison and beef. But you know what, hey, if you just get them from fish or from shellfish in general, that's a good way to go about that stuff. But you know what, if you want to completely avoid this field of landmines, you could just always go low carbohydrate and just stick to getting your carbohydrates if that's something that you want through vegetables and leafy greens that way. But hey, that's just my opinion, and that's just the type of stuff that I like to talk about on this channel anyway. So, with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.